and welcome. You are listening to At Home with Ifenu. Here, we'll talk about helping women know and understand their worth, find fulfillment in who they are, and in what they do. Every other week, we'll talk about your identity as a woman, discovering your unique purpose, intentionally raising the next generation, and your influence in homemaking. I am your host, Ifoma Nneka Omoni. Hello, and welcome to another informative and interesting time on At Home with Ifenu. How are you today? It's a new day, it's a brand new day, and I believe that as you go about your daily activities, your routine, be you at home, be you in your shop, as a mom, you are taking care of those beautiful children, and we also have male listeners for our information, so it's not restricted to just the women, because I know some of my listeners that are men and they forward our podcast to them. So wherever you are in the world, I welcome you specially. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. You are welcome to At Home with Ifeno. I have a wonderful guest on our show today, and he's a male guest, interestingly. Yes, we are here to also show us that we need the men for our homes to thrive. We can't do without them. It's a partnership for our homes to do well. So today we have with us Mr. Sam Adetiran. He's very, very special to us and even on my journey in this season, because he's working on making sure that my book comes out very, very soon. And so I'm sure he will talk about that part of his life and assignment. But I'll just read a little part of his bio. Mr. Sam has an unusual teaching grace, which has made him sought after on many platforms, like we have on this platform, both online and offline. Largely, he teaches about self-discovery, personal development, leadership, communication, and relationships. He is known to be a man of service who is committed to helping people achieve their dreams in every way he can. Mr. Sam is married to his purposeful duo, Nimi Adetiran, and they are blessed with two wonderful children. Please, let's give Mr. Sam an At Home with all welcome. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I am so excited to be with you today, and I want to say thank you to you, first of all, for the good work that you are doing. It's been a blessing catching up with some of the podcast series earlier. I want to say big well done to you. Thank you for making a difference in your own little way. I want to appreciate our listeners for giving us the privilege to bombard their space. I'm sure that it will be worthwhile, and you will be glad that you listened. I am very sure of that, by the grace of God. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. We are very sure that this episode will be listened to over and over again. I have that belief in anticipation. So our topic for today is leadership begins at home. Leadership begins at home. From your experience, your personal experience as a man, a husband, and a father, what does leading mean to you?
All right. That's a very beautiful question. And because it's a personal question, I'm going to answer it personally. So I'm going to be giving a definition of leadership as it occurs to me, or as I have experienced in my life so far. And I will simply define a leader as somebody who knows who or what he is following and brings others in the same journey. I mean, it brings others on the same journey. And that's, okay, if I'm going to say that in another form, I would say that a leader is somebody that knows the way, and is bringing others along on the way. All right. So, first of all, we begin to see that leadership is first personal. And that's why we have what we call personal leadership. Before you have any other form of leadership, it's always, first of all, personal. And the best leaders are actually those who have succeeded in leading themselves. Or if I want to express it in another form, I will say that it takes one who is being led to be a good leader. All right. So leadership is actually a journey that begins on a personal note. And so the best of leaders that we see around are people who are succeeding in following a course, in following somebody else, all right, in following certain guidelines and principles of life that helps them become better and better. And as a result, they are also taking other people on that same journey. And so for us, leadership is never first positional. It's not about the position that you hold. It's not about the responsibilities that you've been given per se. It's first of all about yourself. And it begins to help me understand also that to be successful as a leader, you start with yourself. And if you succeed in leading yourself, then it is very, very, you can count on the fact that you will be able to help others in life. I hope that defines, or I hope my definition is clear. I don't want to go ahead of myself.
It's very, very clear and very, very elaborate. I took note of how you said a leader needs to know the way, in summary. And when you know the way and you know how to go on that way, it is then that you can bring others to follow you on that way. Very, very profound personal definition of leadership. Exactly. And you also talked about it begins from personal leadership. Yes, so before you say you want to talk about bringing others, what am I doing as an individual, leading myself without anybody reminding me or cajoling me? I must rise up to my personal leadership. So it is when I have been grounded in my personal leadership, which is not necessarily positional, then I can bring others on that journey. So because we are on At Home with Ifenu, you are telling us that before our homes, before our children, before our wife, because now it's like the torchlight is on our men. So before we as the family members can follow the man that is supposed to make sure there is order at home, it means that the man must have developed himself to a level and capacity for us to join him on that journey. Very, very profound. Thank you for your response, sir.
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe you've answered the next question in a way.
Thank you, ma'am.
But I like the way you said leadership is not positional. So many people think that they lead outside the home. Many people feel that leadership is when I have one position in the office, or for the religious setting, when I have a title or a position in church. But from my own perspective, because I'm very passionate about the home, I believe that everything begins from home. So do you believe that leadership begins from home? And can you give reasons for your answer?
All right. Very, very important. Yes, 100%. I believe that leadership begins from home. Of course, we know that the home we are talking about the family, which is the smallest unit of society. So that already puts a responsibility on the home. And it means that all the people we have around us today are from one family or the other, whether nuclear, whether extended. Nobody jumps into the world. I mean, nobody just arrives here. God has so designed life that we are all products of a family. And we saw from the beginning that the world that we are in today was actually perpetuated by the first family in Adam and Eve. And of course, by the law of multiplication, by the law of fruitfulness that God set in motion, then we started increasing, and then that's why we have the population that we have today. And it also helps us to see that God, who is our creator, actually had a principle put in motion. God concentrated on the first home, gave the first man direction, gave him instructions to follow, and he was expected to begin to, pass it on to his family. And then, of course, that's the same thing that that is existing in our world today, because the family is the society by extension. All right. So that means if there is failure of leadership in the home, we will continue to have failure of leadership in society. I say that again. If there's failure of leadership in the home, we will continue to have failure of leadership in society. All right. So if we are breeding children that are not being taught, that are not being shown how things should be done, then we will continue to have problems. And then it also behooves, let me take myself as an example to actually drive this home. I remember that as a young man who loved the Lord and who still loves the Lord, that's my heritage and I'm so proud of it. And I have seen that help me to become relevant in my world, in my home, and in every other sphere where I exist. I began to notice that, or it began to, it came to my heart that, oh boy, if you're going to live life to the fullest, if your life is going to be impactful, if your life is going to be rewarding, then you must begin to make effort right now as a single man, as the young boy that you are, begin to do things the way they should be done. I thank God, because there was that consciousness in me as I was growing up that my journey has started. So I'm not going to wait to become a father before I begin to understand that there's a lot that was going to be dependent on me. I remember when I was in school, particularly the university, because this was when I actually knew that this consciousness was in me. I remember that because I'm someone who loves God, who serves God, I remember telling myself while I was in school that, young man, the fact that you're serving God, the fact that you're devoted to God is not a reason for you to be an academic failure. All right? Because I began to see that a day is coming. And those days have come so fast when I will have children that would need to be inspired by my own story. That will need to say that, oh, because daddy did this, because daddy did that, all right, then I can also do this and I can also do that. That really, really changed my life. And it helped me to begin to see that, oh, I am writing my tomorrow today. And so when I get to tomorrow, I want to be proud that I actually did what I was meant to do. I wanted to be able to tell a good story. I don't want to tell my young boy that, oh, I was not serious in school, or I didn't have good grades, or just because I was serving God, then I had to be failing my exams and stuff like that. That's not the legacy I want to pass on. So the legacy consciousness came upon me early enough, and I knew that if I'm going to pass a good legacy to my children, to my family, I would have to start with myself. So that was when my personal leadership started, actually. And I began to work on myself, work on my weaknesses, ensure that I am getting better and better. And here we are today. I am reaping the rewards. I remember as a young boy, I did not say because I'm a boy, I would not serve in the home or go to kitchen. I'm a very domestic man, and my wife is enjoying it today. And I'm proud of that, because I love the fact that I grew up in a family that showed me how it is done. So that's going back to the fact that leadership starts in the home. I will go into the kitchen to help my mom wash dishes. It's one of the things I do with joy. I'm the one that washes I do the laundry in my home. I don't wait for my wife. I don't say because I'm a man, and then it's the responsibility of a woman to wash clothes. Who said it's the responsibility of a woman to wash clothes? Who said it's the responsibility of a woman to wash plates? I mean, this is family, because I am consciously teaching my boy that you don't say because you are a boy, you cannot go into the kitchen to be useful. I mean, you should be useful for yourself, first of all. That's one of the reasons why we are having dysfunctional homes, because certain families somewhere portrayed the wrong image. They showed the boys that all they needed to do was to ask for food and just sit down and wait for food to come to them and just play around, while the guests were chased into the kitchen to wash plates, to cook food. And we see the results today. Some of these things are not meant to be gender-based. They are responsibilities that should be personal. I should be able to survive on my own. Whether I am married or not, as a man, I should be able to cook for myself. I should be able to take care of my clothes. I should be able to, take care of myself. So a lot of things have been affected because in the family, we got leadership wrong. That is, the father and the mother, because they are co-leaders in the family. And so when you talk about leadership in the home, it's a two-way journey. It's a two-way approach. And God, being so good, understood that it's not good for man to be alone. Then he brought woman into the scene. And now, so the best of homes, the best of families, the best of marriages are those who have come to understand the effect that each person has in the home, or the impact that each person can make to actually help the home to be what it should be. So that means there is a man coming from somewhere that understands that if I am not the best man that I should be, I'm going to affect my wife, I'm going to affect my children by extension, and then I'm affecting my family as a whole. And then there's a young woman somewhere that also understands that if I am going to get the best out of my marriage, out of my family, then I got to be the best woman I can be. And so each person is working deliberately on themselves, and then they come together as a team to help their home. And so leadership at home is failing because two people or one of the parties are found wanting in personal leadership. And so when you are found wanting in personal leadership, you will fail in relational leadership.
Wow.
You will fail in the home. It's predictable. I mean, and it's no cause, it's just principles. The world that we live in is run by principles. And if you don't follow principles, you will not get the right result. So I believe that leadership starts from the home. It begins from the home. And so the man and the woman, because there is no family until a man and a woman have decided to come together. All right, to become one, to work as one. I mean, there's a whole lot happening in our world today that makes me more afraid of the fact that, we are getting the narrative wrong. And that's why marriages are crashing. And the problem is when marriages crash that way, they are actually continuing something, because everything in life is about seed and harvest. All right. When a marriage crashes, you have shown your children a prototype that would forever affect them. Because for whatever reason that the man is giving, or whatever reason that the woman is giving for their separation, except they don't have children yet. Once children are involved, no matter their age, you have deposited something in their lives forever. And it will take God, it will take people listening to podcasts like this, reading the right books, exposed to the right messages to correct these errors. That's why there is so much problem in our world today. So leadership begins from the home. And I will finish with this. The prototype for me in scripture is actually Abraham. I love the scripture in Genesis chapter 14, verse 19, the NIV version. God was actually speaking here about Abraham. He says, "For I have chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about what he has promised him." This was God vouching for a man, that I know that this guy has what it takes to instruct his family, to guide his family. That means God was actually validating the fact that leadership starts from the home. All right. And so what was the promise God made to Abraham? That he was going to become a father of many nations. If Abraham was going to become a father of many nations, then he must get it right in his own home. Because it was his home that would produce the nations. All right. And that sank into me and gives me the consciousness that if every man sees this responsibility, because this was a responsibility, all right, this is an expectation that God is demonstrating here. This is a responsibility that is upon every man, and by extension the woman, that you are responsible for your family. You are responsible for showing right leadership. But you understand that you cannot show the right leadership, the right leadership, if you have not become the right leader. All right, because you are the prototype, you are the example that your children would see, and then they take a cue from that. I hope I was able to answer the questions. I know I was going to several things.
I am responsible for showing right leadership. Ifeno, is responsible for showing the right leadership that I expect to reflect in my home, in my children. Yes. So Mr. Sam is saying, this is not a time to point accusing fingers at anybody. This is not a time to say, maybe this school is not a good school, because sometimes we push this responsibility to schools and even to religious centers. But it begins from us personally. It begins from me, the mother. It begins from the father to pass on to the next generation. And we cannot pass on what we have not developed personally. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
I know that this platform is for women, but like I said, we cannot work at home effectively without the men, because it's a partnership, which you have also mentioned. So what I want to ask is, many times parenting in general, from the cultural point of view, is seen as maybe the mother's duty. And people use the scripture and say, if a child is good or turns well, it is if it doesn't turn well, so it means the mother did not do her work properly. So, but there is a part of parenting that I feel should not be swayed away. And I'm not trying to focus on maybe just our men or the male. But why I believe it is important that parenting should be a collaboration is because you mentioned something about modeling. That's you are showcasing to your children how you are supposed to be. So even if a mother teaches a child that, okay, you are supposed to know how to wash your clothes, cook food, whether you are male or female, don't you think that for the male child, which most times people still feel that that maybe they don't, there's nothing important about them knowing how to do the mundane things and the chores. Don't you think that it will stick better? Because our children actually do what they see, not what you say. So how can you encourage our fathers? How can you encourage our male spouses that they are practicalizing what we are speaking at home? We help ingrain the values in our children. So, for example, consciously and unconsciously, there are things that I picked up from my mother. And there are also things I picked up from my father. But I want to say that as a female child, as a woman, there are things my father did that I started looking forward to maybe experiencing such, even from my husband. Because I just felt that, that's how it's supposed to be, even though there needs to be a balance. But my question is, how can you encourage men to intentionally model this leadership at home beyond speaking?
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I am so grateful for this discussion, because I know that our society today needs to hear a lot of this, and I'm trusting God that this podcast will go places, and it will go to the right places where these truths are needed, because this is actually meeting a need. Now, I will use my family as an example, just like you did. I mean, my own father and mother, where I came out from. And to buttress the point that there is so much more. I mean, my dad is late now. My dad passed on in 2020, even though we would have loved for him to be around with us more. But I am forever grateful for the little that he did when he could. And that should remind us that whenever we have the opportunity to live life, to be a good example, to show the way things are done, we should do it with all of our heart. Because I'm not sure my dad too will have probably felt he would leave us this soon. He died at 62, but I'm grateful for the legacy that he left. Now, the last few years of my dad's life was not fun, because he had a little health condition. But the earliest memories of him I had, I remember seeing my dad fetch water. I remember seeing my dad, do domestic work, clean the house. I mean, I remember my dad telling us that we needed to be responsible guys. I mean, my dad actually drove into me the consciousness of, you've got to be responsible from your own home. I remember my dad also teaching me, giving me a feel of what it means to be socially healthy and to be a social blessing. I remember my dad taking us how to go and probably fill potholes, which is common to our side of the world in Nigeria. We will go pack sand into cement bags, fill potholes in our area, just because he knew that was the right thing to do. Now, this is the kind of home I grew up from. I cannot afford to do less. So I am not doing anything less today. And so it behooves every father out there to understand that a lot is lying on you. Yes, we know that a wise woman builds her home. We know that we call the women the home builders. But the father also has a place in the home. He is the leader of the home. And to whom much is given, much more is expected. That means if your woman is going to be a wise builder who is building the home, then that means there is double responsibility for you as the man, who has to show how to lead by example. All right. So like I was saying earlier, I have seen myself, I'm beginning to consciously show my son, hey boy, after eating your food, you've got to wash your plate. But it's easy for me because they've seen me in kitchen several times doing the dishes. I mean, I cannot stand a dirty kitchen. I cannot stand a dirty home. I mean, maybe that's personal for me, probably because of my own personal preference. So I'm not going to wait for my wife to wash the plate or clean the house, because I know that part-time there are other things she needs to do. Why can't I join her? Now, our girl, I was mopping the floor a few days ago. My daughter she just clocked 4 this January. I was mopping the floor and she said, Daddy, can I join you? I was excited. And I allowed her mop, even though you didn't mop more than 30 seconds. Yeah. But I was excited. I'm excited that I'm showing her how it is done. So, like you rightly said, I'm sure in her consciousness, there is this expectation of, maybe when she's finally a wife too, she would expect that her husband should be able to do these things that she has seen her dad do all of her life, because it has become a norm for her. So imagine that there are many men like me who are saying that I don't need to leave household chores for the woman. Do you want to kill her? I mean, how do you think? You should do everything. I cannot just imagine how some men feel that this is a woman's job. It's our job. It's our family. Our home must be clean. Our home must be clean. If our home must be clean, I cannot possibly expect that it's only my wife that will be doing the cleaning of the home. The two have become one. The two are meant to work together to achieve the success that they desire for their home. All right. So if more men are becoming more available at home, I know the challenge for most men is, I go to work. Some men don't even work, in their city of residence. Maybe they travel every week, come back on weekends. I understand these peculiarities because it's expected that a man should provide. And of course we are wired to provide. That's why we can take more risk on that level. But the truth still remains that as long as you are coming back home, even if it's once a month, even if it's once a week, anytime you are home, let the children feel you. Let your wife feel you. Let them enjoy that they have a father. Let them see that their daddy is at home. That means you are going to join. I don't like cooking personally. You may find that hard to believe, even though I am very domestic. Even though I'll go
it's
all
at
the
least you are adding value in one way or the other.
Yeah, So, but once in a while, I go into the kitchen to see how I could be of help, even if it means gisting with her while she's in the kitchen. Just to provide my presence.
Support.
And of course, because she too knows that, this guy will help me on a normal day. It's just that I don't like cooking because I don't eat so much. I've been like that as a boy, so I would rather take bread and water. I'm a snacky person, so I hardly eat. So I've been like that from the start. But I'm happy that I can help my wife in every little way I can. So she does not have to think of, we have not washed their clothes. I bathe my children because it's also bonding time. Now my children, when I'm around, in fact, sometimes it looks like they would rather have daddy around more than mommy.
Wow.
They are used to daddy. They are used to daddy. Daddy is playing with them. Daddy is trying to clean the room for them, helping them to read, doing assignments with them. I am so much into my children and I'm enjoying it because I believe that I'm helping them to grow healthy, both the guy and the girl, both the boy and the girl. And so I believe that I am doing something to their subconscious, which we will all reap eventually. So if every man out there sees this responsibility as their own, I think it's actually a mindset thing. It starts from the mind. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. If you don't think that you have a stake in your home, if you don't think that you are responsible in your home to ensure that things are done well, to ensure that you provide the support that your wife needs, the only support your wife needs is not money. There are some things money cannot do. Even if you buy all the gadgets, you buy the washing machine, you buy the cooking machine, if possible, buy everything machine. There are things that money cannot do for you. Your presence is needed. Your wife needs that presence. Your children needs that presence. They need your involvement. They need you to show them by example and not by saying, go into your room to clean your room. Sometimes I still help my children to clean their room because I know they are still very young. I'm showing them how to do it. They see me sweep almost on a daily basis. They see me do these things, but I still don't leave it to them because leadership is about participation. You have to actively participate in what you are trying to inculcate in your children, and the more they see you do it, they are learning and you will reap the fruit eventually. And if every man is thinking this way and being conscious that your presence is needed beyond your money. I was in a men's meeting of recent, on Easter Monday, and men were sharing their challenges, how that, we have to work, we have to make money. And the purpose of that meeting was to ensure that we see what more we can do to be involved in our families. Because if you go out to make all the money and you are not there for your children, the loophole will still be there. There is more to growing up than money. Yes, we know money answers all things. We know money makes life easy. But what about the emotional connection? What about the values that you need to pass to them? That you need to role model, that you need to role play, as it were. These things will stay in them more than money. There are things that gifts cannot do. Snacks cannot do it. Buy them all the snack, buy them all the clothes, buy them all the games. It will still not do. Yeah, you need to connect with them. You need to be part of their lives. You need to talk. You need to play. Yesterday night, I was deliberate to just play with my children. We were doing hide and seek, running after them. And I saw how excited they were. I said, Mr. Man, you need to do this more. Because, sometimes I can be very serious too, because I got to work. You guys need money. So I've got to work. But I saw that to raise a healthy family, to raise a healthy home, to raise healthy children, both the man and the woman needs to be involved. But much more, because to whom much more is given, much more is expected, the man has to be more involved. And let the women have our support. Let's not leave everything to them. Don't forget, it starts from your mindset. Then you now have to take deliberate actions, deliberate steps that would ensure that no matter how long you are away from the home, every time you are around, let us feel your presence. Let the children feel your presence. Make up for the lost time. In that meeting I told you about, I heard men tell me, those of them that go out to work, that travel, some of them told us that they have a routine. There's a video time every day. I was impressed. Somebody said that for 3 hours daily, there's a video call with his family.
Wow.
That's some sacrifice. That's a man trying to get involved. And another man said, once I come back home, any weekend I am home is for my family. We will do the dishes together. We will do laundry together. I get involved. We play together. That's how to raise a family. So men, I am encouraging us, let's not be absent. Our lives are more than money. A man's life is more than possession. Our life is more than, let's bring money to the table. Yes, money is good, but there's more that we need to give our children. There is more that we need to help our wives with if we are going to raise a healthy home and by extension, a healthy society. Thank you, Ma. I hope I answered the question.
Wow. Yes, you gave us practical ways on how we can be intentional, at home. Leadership is about participation. That's what I can't forget that one. For us to be intentional, then we must participate. So we are not just saying, do as I say, but do as I am doing. And when you know that they are copying and emulating you, then you will be conscious of your actions. You will be conscious of your words. Thank you. So thank you so much for your response to this last question. Now, I stand to be corrected. From my observation, I find out that men don't really buy into maybe going for counseling when it has to do with marriage, or investing in books on parenting, things that have to do with family. Yes, we know that they are responsible in working very hard. And I want to use this opportunity to say thank you to all our responsible husbands and fathers for their efforts, for doing all they can to make the home comfortable, meeting our needs and even our wants. But I find out that in things that have to do with maybe our marriage, which has brought the man and the wife together, parenting, which is important in raising the next generation, I see that they don't tend to be interested in investing in things like books or going for programs that are directed to the family or the home unit, as much as they would invest in their career, in their profession, in their political ambition. Why do you think this is so? And I think you are also in a good position because you write and you do a lot with books. So why do you think men don't really tend to that? Why don't they even like going for counseling?
Okay. All right. This is a very, 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 very crucial question, and I'm glad that you actually raised it. I trust that our men will be happy for us to address this. I think basically, first of all, I think it's a makeup thing. men are naturally go-getters. Men are naturally, there's a school of thought that said that men are hunters. What they want to get, they just go for it. And then because men are, our brains are more one-sided, for lack of a better word. We know that women can, the two sides of the brain of a woman is advanced, is put into use, unlike the men who have the left side of their brain working more. And that's why naturally women are more multitasking, or good multitaskers. That's the reason why women can do a lot of this or a lot of things at the same time. Men naturally are able to do just one thing per time. Okay, this is what I want to get done, and they're able to face it, and then they face it well and they get it done. All right. So I think, and you're right, research has proven it, that women are better readers than men. At least from the little researches I've done myself. And then, of course, even when it comes to books written by, generally, women are just better readers. And I think one of the things that helps women is one of the first explanation I've given. And then the fact that men are more emotional. They are more involved in what they do. Now, men are more logical. So it has to make sense to a man before he is doing it. We must understand that. You have to make him see reasons. It must make sense before a man goes for it. But for a woman, once she feels it, once she senses it, oh, this is a need, this is something I have to do. That's why you have more women go for prayer meetings. That's why you have more women go for personal development programs. That's why you have more women sign up for courses. That's why women are more driven on that level, because once it connects to their emotion, once they see the need for it, they are going for it. Because women are naturally more spontaneous. So once the need arises, they are going for it. That's the way they are wired. But a man has to see the need for it. So I think the work that our women will need to do, even for their men, and with all humility and sincerity now, is to help men see the need for it. If you help your man see the need for it, you will be able to help him get it done. He will be inclined to getting it done. Don't force him, don't rush him, because another thing that stands in the way of a man is our ego. Men are naturally egoistic, we are egocentric naturally, and a man just wants to maintain. That's why another reason, one of the things that should make you see how this thing works is, this is why women have support group more than men. This is why women will do book clubs more than men. This is why women meet more than men. Men are usually one-directional, while a woman can be multi-directional. And so you've got to be patient to help men see the need for it in the most, friendly way. If you are imposing on a man, you trigger him. And men are also naturally they do self-defense more. once you come attacking a man, he is going to naturally defend himself. And this is one of the things wives need to understand. Wives, you have the power to help your man. That's one of the reasons why God put you in his life. But if you misuse that power, you will drive him away rather than pull him close. Men will naturally not talk about their problems. So I'm already giving you reasons why men don't read or go for programs. I hope you're getting it. Yes. Men will naturally not talk about their problems. They will rather keep it to themselves. That's a man thing. I know the work I am doing on myself to be more open, to be more, to share my vulnerabilities, even with my wife sometimes. Men naturally want to just get things done by themselves. That's why you see your boys, they want to do their thing. They fall into problems sometimes, and they don't want you to help them. That is a man, and we must not kill that quality. We must not kill that gift of God, because it's there for a reason.
Wow.
So
sorry to cut you
okay,
short, sir.
all right.
I just want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
mention
All
this,
right.
because I want to be as practical
Yeah.
as possible. So Mr. Sam just
All
said
right, ma'am.
something that I have started observing in my son that is tending to
Okay.
13. So he'll be 13 in a few
Wow.
months' time. I just noticed that
Wow.
suddenly, he just wants to be on his own. I will keep asking
Yeah.
him, what is the problem? He will just tell me nothing. I will say, why are you looking at, are he's just like, I said, there is nothing wrong. So when you were saying this just now, I started saying, okay, he's already tending
Yeah.
to that tendency,
Yeah. He's
of trying
becoming a
to.
man. The man in him is finding expression. And that's why
Wow.
more men are solitary, That's why men can thrive in their space. That's why men want to have their space, no matter their personalities. A man just wants to be left alone sometimes, because it's a man's wiring. And when a woman understands that this is a man's wiring, that is why God brought you into his life. So once there was a season in our life as a couple where it was a transitional season, when my wife felt that there was a lot she needed me to understand, or she needed me to know, that she could not tell me. One of the things you don't tell a man is, babe, we need to talk. Once you say, babe, we need to talk, there is a trigger. It still happens to me. I was still telling my wife of recent. Once you tell a man that, it's just a man thing, there's something that goes off in his brain, like, hey, problem is coming. And men naturally want to avoid such kind of problems. I mean, we are peace-loving people. We just want to get things done and go on with life. So when a woman tells a man that we need to talk, he will be afraid. You have to learn how to communicate. So my wife saw that if this guy is going to get this thing, I must change my approach. So what did she do? Because she understands that I am somebody who is personally driven, I'm giving to real, and then she knows that if I know the truth, if I know that something is the right thing to do, I go all out for it. So what did she start doing? She just began to tag me to certain posts on Instagram. I remember very well. Because she knows that if my husband knows the truth, he will do the truth. So let me set him up. She started setting me up with the right information. And she's enjoying the fruit today. So there are some things you don't need to compete with a man. Men are naturally fighters. If you try to fight a man, you are not likely to win.
Back.
Yes, they're gonna fight back. So every woman listening to this should become more
understanding, patient,
skillful. Become more skillful in your approach to your man. Oh, you've been trying to make him see this. You have to be diplomatic. You have to use your own emotional power, the prowess God has given you in that regard. Use it for your advantage to help your man see reasons why, babe, we need to sign up for this course. Do you know that it will help us? Let me tell you the truth, as knowledgeable as I am, as knowledge-driven as I am, once in a while, when my wife tries to say something to me like, babe, we need to do this, or like more like something that has to do with correction, the triggers still go off in me naturally. Naturally, whether she says it in a cool way or uncool way. I mean, if you even come with the nagging style, you have lost me. I'm not going to listen. Do you understand? Even those days when at least she's as calm as she can be, she's as collected as she can be, naturally, what comes to my mind is to want to defend it. It's a man thing. So if we have this understanding, our marriages will be better. So what a woman should do is, you know your husband better. You should know when you can get into your husband. It may be your intimate times. It may be before the intimate times. It may be maybe he's one that is given to good food. It may be why he is eating that good food. You have to be diplomatic. You have to be systematic. You have to be skillful, because this is meant to be a union of two people making things work together for good. And both of you will have to leverage on your strengths to make that happen while you compensate for each other's weakness. So women need to be more patient to help their husband to see that, babe, I read this book. Or sometimes all you need to do is bring up a conversation. Don't push the book into his face.
Yeah.
Do you know that I was at this course, this person mentioned this. What do you think about it? Sincerely. Don't say, babe, can you imagine? I saw it in that book that this is what you have been doing. Sherry, I've been telling you. See yourself now. You have lost him. He's not going to listen. He would rather go his way. Now, naturally, men don't seek help. That's another one. Naturally, men want to do it by themselves. They want to figure it. They want to factor it. And it's a God-given potential. So you need to know how to help your man.
That's why we are their helpers.
Yes. In the first place, that's why God brought you. I don't understand why women want to compete with men. Oh, he cannot be like you. Settle it in your mind. He will never be like you, and you will never be like him. You just need to leverage your strengths and compensate your weaknesses. So don't try to push things in his face. He will, and when he is going through stuff, he will. Most men will try everything possible before they speak out that they need help. And some, because of their ego, will not come out for help. So that's why men don't read. That's why men don't go for counseling. I know that one very well. Because he's thinking in his mind, what do you want to tell me? What do you want to tell me that I don't know? And sometimes it's not because they don't even know it. It's just because they are not doing it. That's on another level. But you have to be systematic I believe every woman has the key to her husband's heart, and every man has the key to his wife's heart. So women need to see more how they will use that key correctly. If you use the key, the door will open. So more women need to go inside more and see, how can I make my husband more vulnerable? And sometimes it starts by you showing that you really care about him. Most times men avoid all these discussions because women come from the nagging angle, from the complaining angle. And naturally, a man will run into his shells. He doesn't want problem, naturally. So why you can communicate the need? Babe, I used to tell my wife, for one, my primary love language is word of affirmation. And so if you want to correct me and you are starting with what I'm not doing well, you have lost me. I will not receive that correction. That's me. Or you want to say something and you have said, if you're trying to tell me something that I did wrong, and you either go straight into it. I have told my wife countless times, babe, if you want to really get me, if you want to get me to understand what you're trying to say, if you want me to appreciate what you have to say, you have to put praise first. Even the Bible says, enter his gate with thanksgiving. If you want to me to, and then don't use the word but, and you have praised me, you have said thank you for, and then you have said but. The moment you say but, everything you said from that point to before that point, you have nullified it.
Wow.
Because what you're trying to do, you just wanted to cajole me to listen to you. So our women need to understand communication better. Of course, the men too need to. There are ways you communicate your need. There are ways you communicate the fact that you need something to be done. There are ways to do it. If we do these things right, we will get the right result. But if we keep doing them the wrong way, we'll keep pushing men away. Men that don't want to talk about their problems before. Men that want to settle things by themselves before. You are now pushing it into their faces. They will run away. So they will not follow you for the counseling. They will not buy the books. They will not read. A man naturally does not want to be told that he is wrong. But we know that men will always be wrong, just like women too will always be wrong. I think it's about understanding the approach, the methodology. How can I get this man to hear what I'm saying in the best possible way? And then we will see the change start. Wow. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, and I'm so happy I brought this question up, because beyond what I asked, I started getting nuggets, wisdom tips, how to patiently and with understanding live and deal with our husbands so that we can get the best results out of it. Thank you very much. So please, can you just share with our listeners about your online presence? You have programs. I know you do a lot about writing and even helping people edit their book and so much more. So just share with us your social media handles and your online presence so that our listeners can connect with you.
Okay, you can find me on every social media, and maybe except Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. But you'll find me on Facebook as Sam Adetiran. You'll find me on Instagram as Sam Adetiran. You'll find me on LinkedIn as Sam Adetiran. And I think those are my major primary social media handles. Of course, out of all the platforms, Facebook is still my number one. I think that's where I have more of my audience, or that's where I have built credibility over the years, and that's where I have more people following. So you can always reach out with an inbox or a DM. I help people understand their identity, discover their purpose, and maximize their potential. That's my life's call. That's my mission statement. And that's what I do actually as a personal development expert. So whatever I'm doing is actually fulfilling those three purposes, and then I'm a book publishing consultant and editor. That's the work that I do. So when I'm not talking or teaching like this, you can be sure I'm trying to help people fine-tune their writing. I believe that people can be taken on the journey of producing. That means bring out the words on their inside. The message to that needs to be published, or that process of producing right words that expresses the messages in the art, polishing those words. That's the editing partner, and then of course publishing it, because if you have not published it, it's not complete. Hear your message, everyone needs to be blessed by it. And by everyone, I don't mean everybody, really. I mean the people that should be hearing it, the people that it's designed for. Because if nobody was sent to everybody, really, there's a set of people God has sent you to per time, and that's the way it works. So I take people through those processes. So you can, of course, that I'm a teacher naturally.
Yes.
And that's why we are here on this platform today. So I help people through these processes. I have trainings that take people through the process of self-discovery until self-actualization. And then of course, I have courses around writing and publishing too. And then I am available to be a blessing to your audience, to your workers, to your staff, just to ignite their passion because the summary of it all is that if people don't understand who they are, you cannot get the best out of them. If people are not constantly become who they have been made, you cannot get the best out of them. So it's going to affect everything they do, their relationships, whether family, whether work relationship, whether marriage, whatever it is. So I believe that people need to be constantly taking on that journey of understanding who they are, discovering what they've been given and what they are meant to be doing, and then of course becoming all that God has designed them to be. And so that encapsulates all that I do.
Wow.
I'll be glad to be of to anyone at any time.
Thank you. I'll add your social media handles and your bio, the full bio, on the show notes, so that people can also still connect when they reach through. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you much.
It's a liberating episode, I must tell you. So what will be your parting words to every listener?
All right.
To reiterate that leadership begins at home.
All right. My parting word is this. Remember that to get the best out of life, you must first get the best out of yourself. Because God has designed every man with what is necessary to become the best in life, or to get the best out of life. But that journey must begin with you. You must go inwards to find out who God has made you, and to begin to lead yourself, first of all, towards that which God has made you. All right. So that is the knowing the way part now. You must know the way first as a person, and then you must be going that way. That's why you must constantly build yourself, listening to podcasts like this, reading the right books, listening to the right people. That's how you show us that you are going on the way, doing what your hand finds doing part-time, doing what is laid in your heart part-time, doing what you are clear about part-time. That's how you show us that you are going on the way. And of course, finally, you are helping to bring others along on the way. Maybe those who are looking up to you as a mentor, or as a family person, as a father, as a mother. Part-time, everyone has someone they need to lead. All right. It's just that you must lead yourself first well, before you can actually help others by leading them well. So it starts with you. You cannot afford to give up on yourself. And even when you are going on the way, you still have to keep getting better. So it's a life journey of personal development. You don't arrive in the real sense of it. We only keep arriving, from one level of glory to another, from one level of understanding to another, from one level of light to another. And that's what makes life beautiful. I wish you all the best on this journey, and I trust that you become a better leader and eventually lead your home the way God wants it. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. It begins from me. It begins at home. Leadership begins with me and at home. Thank you so much, sir. Looking forward to having you very soon again. I hope you
Not a problem. Gladly obliged.
Thank you very much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you too, man. All right, man. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us this week on At Home with Ifenu. Check us out on Instagram at Ifenu17. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next in 2 weeks' time.